clutter you inherited? Well, I definitely inherited some clutter creating habits. My family was the good old 50-50, super clean, all on the outside, but when you open those cupboards, things were crammed, 50% organized, hidden piles here and there. And what do you think happened when I moved out on my own? Same thing. I ended up having super clean home, but then I definitely had those 50-50 piles and all the belief systems that came with it. Today I want to give you 5 ways to let go of that clutter that you learned from your family, you inherited it from your family, as a way to cope from trauma, both theirs and yours, and how to set yourself free from it. Let's get started. The first one is, well, you need to identify it. You need to identify what is that pattern that I inherited from my family that's creating clutter. And you can do this by kind of just really looking around and asking yourself, what does my family do that I do as well? Did I learn it? Was it a way that I coped because of the dysfunction in the family? We all had one degree or another. And was it something that I just kind of observed, or was it something that I didn't learn? And that's why I have this clutter. Because reality is, who actually teaches you how to be really efficient with your time, to be really intentional about the things that you do, to be super organized, and how to let go? And I mean let go of everything, not just your physical belongings, but like let go of thoughts and invite new ones in. Most people don't learn that. So once you identify all of that and you go, okay, well, it was fear, it was a coping mechanism that, my family started because they lived in a war, and then they would hold on to things, especially food, and oops, I do that too. And then I have all this expired food in my cupboards and it's all crammed. And it tends to actually get worse each generation that goes by. So it's up to you to stop that pattern. And so once you identify, just start with one of those, habits or patterns or coping mechanisms that you got from your family or as a result growing up with them. It's time to look at number 2, which is, what are you going to replace it with? When we create space, we actually allow for something new to come in. So what habit do you want to change it with? What behavior? What belief? And it's really great to do this with someone, because unless you look at the underlying emotions that are attached to it and you really kind of map it out and feel a way to connect with it in a different way, if you just say, oh, I'm going to do this from now on, most likely it won't happen. And it's most likely you tried as well. And trust me, I've done it too. And it's not until I have that conversation with someone that I really am able to change my point of view, change my perspective on my relationship, and then things really get flowing and changing. And so that brings me to number 3, because part of that is releasing a trapped emotion. I talk about this in many of my videos, that the trauma, it's more that it gets trapped and causes us issues if we don't release the trapped emotion and that experience. So what happens with our family? They had trauma. Did they deal with it? Probably not. Probably didn't deal with a lot of it. And that emotion of maybe anger is trapped in them, and then it gets carried into your vibration, into your body when you're born and in your mother's womb. And then you kind of go, wait a second, this anger feels weird. That happened to me a lot. I was experiencing all this anger and I'm like, oh, I know who that came from. It wasn't mine, that particular type of anger that was coming up for me a lot. And once I use different techniques to release it, my anger is so minimal now, and it's just a regular reaction to life as opposed to this extreme intense reaction to life. And so one way, may sound easy, you probably heard it before, is breathing into it. So if I'm feeling it here in my body, I'm going to breathe into that spot, and then it just kind of dissipates. Make sure you're not thinking when you do this. I know it's hard. It was very hard for me, and when I am able to do that, it makes a big difference. The other thing and technique that I've been trying lately is the emotion code. And that's where you're using your meridians, you're using your intuition, you're doing muscle testing to release a trapped emotion that could be yours, it could be something that you inherited, and then it just lightens you up. Remember, when you feel heavy, it's not really you. So if you're carrying all this intergenerational trauma and heaviness in your body and in your space, it's not going to make you feel like you. If you feel light, that means that you are more connected to yourself, which is a huge part of the process of being able to let go. You want to get back to that center, which brings me to number 4. If you don't change your point of view, it's not going to help you feel light, and it's not going to connect you to your center. When you feel light, that means your point of view is aligning with you. So how do you do that? Same thing. Pick that pattern that you thought of in the first step and go, okay, how does that connect to my point of view of the situation, of the habit, of the belief, of the clutter creating way that I hold on and attach to things? And how can I switch that point of view? And again, through a conversation with someone like a coach or therapist or friend that you trust, get them to ask you tons of questions to help you flip that script. Which brings me to the last step of step 5, and that's rewriting your story and actually just getting rid of it. The ego wants to label things. Although my videos might say things like ADHD or anxiety, that's the way people identify. That's the way they go, oh, that makes so much sense, that's what's going on. But if we stick to that label, it keeps us trapped in a box, and this is who I am. You are not anxiety. Anxiety is a fear response. You're feeling fear. So what's that fear telling you? So instead of attaching to a story, attaching to a label, let go and just go, oh, I'm feeling this right now. What do I need? What is this telling me? Is this a lesson that I need to learn? Is this something that was not resolved in my family? Do I just need to release it, or do I need to look at it a little bit and then release it? And that will set you free. Because once we see life as play and creation, as opposed to clinging on and being afraid, we transform and we let go and we can be in alignment. And so check out my next video coming up, 3 basic needs that need to be met, because if they're not, they create clutter. And also check out the intergenerational trauma blog, because that helps explain more how this actually gets embedded into you. Today I wanted to give you those 5 steps to help you release it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if it helped, and give me any feedback of what you would like to see. And most of all, click that subscribe button so that other people can learn how to let go of their trauma, let go of their past, and be free of their clutter, so you can be more in alignment with your soul.